By the summer of 1945, the war in Europe had ended, but the Pacific theater remained a staggering bloodbath. Japan's strategic situation was dire. Most of their navy sat at the bottom of the ocean. The wartime economy was paralyzed, and millions of civilians faced the immediate threat of starvation. Despite this, Japanese leadership refused to accept unconditional surrender. They planned to inflict such massive casualties through kamikaze attacks, forcing the United States to negotiate a peace deal rather than finish the fight. This left President Harry Truman with a terrible dilemma: how to force a surrender without condemning thousands more American troops to die. Just as he assumed the presidency, he was informed that the years-long effort to build an atomic weapon had finally succeeded. Truman did not make his decision in a vacuum. To understand why he authorized the use of nuclear weapons, we have to look closely at the terrifying menu of alternative options sitting on his desk in 1945. Option 1 was Operation Downfall, a massive ground invasion of the Japanese home islands, planned to begin in November. Secretary of War Henry Stimson championed the traditionalist argument for the bomb. He believed an invasion would be a bitter finish fight, resulting in hundreds of thousands of American casualties. Option 2 was diplomatic. The U.S. could modify its strict demands for unconditional surrender and guarantee that Japan could keep their emperor in a post-war government. Truman and his advisors rejected this compromise. They were locked in by American domestic politics and a public that demanded total victory after years of brutal fighting. Because an invasion was deemed too costly and diplomacy too politically risky, American leadership sought a third way to break the deadlock. This leads us to Option 3, waiting for the Soviet Union. The Soviets were scheduled to officially declare war on Japan and invade from the north in mid-August. This is central to the revisionist argument. American intelligence knew Japan was seeking terms through Moscow, suggesting they might have surrendered the moment the Soviets entered the war. But there was a major geopolitical catch. Truman and his Secretary of State, James Burns, wanted to end the war quickly to avoid sharing the occupation of Japan with Joseph Stalin. Under this theory, the bomb was a diplomatic hammer. Using it would end the war before the Soviets could intervene and simultaneously demonstrate America's new military power to Moscow. This interpretation frames the nuclear attacks on Japan as a calculated first move in the Cold War, used to secure American interests in Asia. There was also a fourth option: a non-lethal demonstration drop on an unpopulated island to warn Japan without killing civilians. Physicist Leo Szilard organized a petition signed by dozens of scientists, pleading with the U.S. to consider the moral costs. They feared that using the bomb on a city would start a dangerous global nuclear arms race. Military planners rejected this idea. They feared a dud would embolden the Japanese, or that Japan might move American prisoners of war to the designated target area as given warning. Instead, the official target committee concluded the weapon had to be used on a densely populated urban area, without warning, to achieve maximum psychological shock. The pursuit of absolute shock overruled the scientists' moral warnings. The deliberate targeting of a civilian population became the chosen military strategy. In August 1945, the strategy was carried out. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, unleashing instantaneous devastation and forcing Japan's surrender. This U.S. Strategic Bombing Survey chart shows the psychological impact. It reveals doubts about victory increased significantly in targeted cities compared to the rest of the country, concluding the bomb was the most important influence in making defeat inevitable. Even top military leaders were appalled. Admiral William Leahy, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, compared the act to the barbarians of the Dark Ages, arguing the use of the weapon was both unnecessary and immoral. The debate over Truman's decision remains unsettled. It stands as a permanent warning of how the ability to destroy ourselves blurred the line between military necessity and moral catastrophe.